Hey, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Hey, welcome to what the kids affectionately call the C House. So for some of you more current graduates, that's what the kids say now. I don't know what they said in the original Forsyth County High School days, but we're very honored to have everyone here tonight. My name is Josh Lowe. I'm the proud principal of this school. Before we start, I'd like to say that this is the 5th and 6th edition of the Hall of Fame induction here at Forsyth Central. I'd like to recognize a few special guests to get the evening started. First off, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the tremendous support we have of our Board of Education and Dr. Bearden. And tonight, Mr. Wes McCall is here representing our Board of Education. Mr. McCall, right over here, thank you for being here. Additionally, we're blessed. So many schools have so much turnover and so many changes. But here at Central, this school is 60, I should know this, plus years old now, 7 I think it is. And we've had 9 principals, and we're blessed with 2 of them here tonight. Mr. Rudy Hampton is here with us. Mr. Hampton, thank you for being here. And then my most recent predecessor, our current deputy superintendent, is here tonight, and he was actually principal when the class of 2020 was selected last year. But Mr. Mitch Young is here with us. Mr. Young. You know, Central's a special place. Not many schools have an alumni base. You can actually have an alumni association. And we started talking, and the idea, giving full credit to Mr. Young with the idea, he came to me about 2015 and said, hey, we ought to start talking about an alumni association. You know, at that time we had 15,000 graduates that had gone through this building since the original class. And, you know, there was just things around campus. We're so blessed with a supportive district that does so much for us, like this beautiful new building we're sitting in that's still just a handful of years old. But parts of our campus weren't as new, weren't as updated. And we needed some help with some things like that, maybe some things that weren't covered and with some of the other things, which this is not on script, and I'm not telling you how to vote, but if you live in the county, please vote for the SPLOST while I'm on this topic. Or go vote for the SPLOST election while we're on that topic, because we need to be sure we continue the great support of our schools. But with that said, we started talking about the Alumni Association and kind of what we needed to do. Didn't really have the final plan, but we said, well, let's tap into some of our most valuable resources, and that's some of our alumni in our community. So we went out and we selected our first steering committee. So I don't think it'd be appropriate to go further without at least calling out these names, because I think it's important we always know who helped start. Before you know where you're going, you got to know where you've been. And the original board, a handful of these are still on the board, but Dustin Cannon, Judy Jenkins, Linda Lang, Christopher LeBlanc, Shannon and Gail Mize, Amanda Neighbors, George Perkle, Joey Perkle, Angie Richards, Kevin Talent, Bobby Thomas, Joanne Tollison, Chuck Welch, and Tim Perry. We wouldn't be here tonight if it weren't for that original group getting us rolling. And with that said, you know, I mentioned we didn't really know what we were going to do. We started talking the original group, and they really wanted to be sure we were supporting the kids in a variety of ways. First and foremost, they established a scholarship, and to date, the Alumni Association has given $10,000 in alumni scholarships since its formation back to our seniors that were deserving. Additionally, and I'm not going to go down the whole list, Mr. Martin I think has got some of that, but something else that I think was important was this Hall of Fame. And we wanted to be sure that our kids here at Central knew that great people had gone through here before them to actually give them something to aspire to be. You know, you can go to Central and you can reach any goal. You know, in our current list of inductees out in the foyer, we've got folks from educators to elected officials to people that have served in the Pentagon, you name it. We've had just a variety of people that have gone through here, and there's so many more. And we wanted our kids here to be able to reflect on that, build on that, and try to carry on that proud tradition. You know, when Mr. Young, when I found out in February I was going to be assuming this position as principal, I told our teachers, in reference to Mr. Young, that a legacy is not climbing or building a mountain. A legacy is when those that follow you build that, continue to climb that same mountain. This group started this. These alumni started this, and it's important that our current graduates aspire to achieve great things. And I think that the Hall of Fame gives us a visual daily and a reminder daily that you can go to school at Forsyth Central High School and you can reach any goal you have. So with that said, I'm not going to continue rambling. I will say that we're very proud this year, barring any major snafu. We should hit this year's membership drive should put us well over the $100,000 mark since 2015 that has been generated for Forsyth Central High School by this association. and so many things, too many to list. We're just so appreciative. I'm going to turn it over quickly to Mr. Martin. I've enjoyed working with the Alumni Association since the inception, but I know he's going to recognize folks, but I know he's not going to recognize himself. Casey Martin has been a phenomenal leader in our school and somebody that has worked so hard through the transition this past year to take the reins and work hard with the Alumni Association. So this night and so many other great things that he's involved in, we appreciate him. So Casey, turn it over to you and look forward to celebrating our inductees tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. My name is Casey Martin. I've been here, this is my 5th year here at Forsyth Central, and I absolutely love this place. I love this school. I love this community. Very lucky to be here. And it's just crazy how it all worked out when Josh asked me if I wanted to kind of step in a little bit a few years back and start coming to the meetings and get to know some of the people on the alumni board and kind of, see what this is all about. And it has just been a blessing. I've gotten to know some great people on the board, great people through the Hall of Fame banquets. And it's just great to be a part of it and celebrate the rich history in our school, the rich history in this community. I just consider myself lucky to be out here and amongst all of you. So that being said, this is the 5th/6th ceremony, I guess you could say. The COVID got in the way of it a little bit, so we're gonna recognize 2 classes tonight. We've got the class of 2020 and the class of 2021. I want to personally thank Josh for what he's done and the time he's spent to get this going and get it started and get it to where it is. He's put a lot of hours in, and I'm picking something up now that doesn't need any changes, doesn't need help. It's where it needs to be. My job is just to try to maintain it, and I hope I can do that just out of respect for him and the rest of you that have been, the names that he names that have been, part of this from the beginning. So I want to thank our current board members. So when I call your name, if you'll just stand up real quick, and I'm going to go through the line here if you're here. So we've got Melissa Bailey. She's not here tonight. Not feeling well. We have Lee Crow. Cindy Hansard, Scott Hansard, Hannah Harrison. She's in the back. She's one of our teachers. She's also over the ambassadors. Miss Kim Head, Judy Jenkins, Linda Lang, Gail Mize, Dr. Shannon Mize, Amanda Neighbors, George Perkle, Tim Stevens, Chuck Welch, and we also have our school representative, Chris Woodall, another school representative, and our the lady that gets everything done, nuts and bolts of our school, and the alumni, Amy Robinson. I want to make sure I thank the custodial staff we have here. Of course, they're not around right now. They're out working in their buildings or wherever they're assigned to be, but they took time out of their own to set this up. I mean, just imagine this room with, 500-600 chairs in here, 700 chairs, tables filled out. They moved everything out of here, swept everything after lunch, scrubbed the floors, put the chairs out, got everything ready in there. Just a tremendous group of people. I love our custodians. I just want to give them some thanks too. Thank you. They'll also be here in about an hour to set everything back up, get ready for school tomorrow. Also want to thank some of our we have some representative from our administration here, of course. Our principal, Dr. Lowe. Thanks for being here. Also, one of our assistant principals, Ms. Carrie McAllister. The programs that you have were made by our graphics class. Miss Heather Handline was over that, and she did a great job, spent a lot of her own time, out of school time, to make sure that everything was right, and she has a student help her. Her name is Maddie Spinner, did an unbelievable job with our program, so thank you, Hannah, and the graphics class. Also, Jason Handline and his student representatives from the visual arts, they're here filming it. They were here way before we started setting everything up. We got an extra microphone I didn't know about, but that's to make the sound better for what's being recorded. So this is going to be as a link that can be shared. We'll have it on all of our social media, so you can send it to your friends if they weren't able to attend. So thank you, Mr. Handline and the visual arts class. And also Jim Tozier, he's our ITS here at school. He's helped a lot with some technical things to get everything ready. I'm going to ask now our Forsyth Central ambassadors, will y'all please stand up? Okay. They do it. Y'all can have a seat. They do so much for our school. They're like the welcoming group that helps whenever we need things. They're ready to go. And they do such a phenomenal job. And a lot of that is, well, it's really because they have a great leader. And that's Miss Hannah Harrison that's in the back. Thank you, Hannah. We did have some new signs made that we had as you were coming in, some directional things from laying signs. So we appreciate laying signs for that. If you'll look around, there's a lot of different flowers and arrangements and things. So we had Joanne's Florist did arrange some flowers, and also Lanierland Florist donated some beautiful arrangements. So want to make sure to give them thanks for making this a very nice event. All right, so I guess it's time to recognize our two classes. So how we'll do this, we're going to start with class of 2020. When I call your name, if you'll come up, I will give you your plaque, shake your hand, give you the floor for a second. You can come in here and say a few words. We're excited for this event, and thanks everybody for coming. And so we'll get this started with the class of 2020. So our first inductee of the night would be George Stephen Benson.
Well, good evening. You would think that being a principal for as long as I was that you'd be used to being in front of a group. It's not my thing to do. But I want to say thank you for this. It means an awful lot. I've worked with George. George and I have been buddies forever, and he's been doing this, and I've worked with him, and I know how much work goes into just getting all this information together. And but I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Forsyth County, and I can't say I missed it, but my wife and I retired at the same time, and we've had a great time ever since we retired, traveling and doing stuff like that. So again, thank you for this, and it will go up on a wall somewhere in the home where we can all see it. Thank you again.
If you'll step over here. If you'll step over here for a picture. If you're here with Mr. Benson, could you walk over here to the backdrop, and we'll want to get a picture of all of you guys together, so y'all can make your way over there. We've got an ambassador that'll kind of help you out over there.
Those families on there, the whole plan. This whole fucking family showed up.
You brought a crew, didn't you? Okay, our next inductee, also from the class of 2020, is Mrs. Linda Hood-Lang.
I'm not going to be as brief as Steve, but I will promise you won't be here all night. I'm very honored to be selected for the Hall of Fame. It has been a highlight of my retirement years to spend time at this school working on behalf of the kids and the teachers here at Forsyth Central. It means a lot to me. I want to share just a little bit from a book that is very special to me. It's a children's book that was written in 1969. Thank you, Casey. In 1969, Eric Carle wrote a beautiful children's book called The Very Hungry Caterpillar. And I'm not going to read the book. I gave it to Adair before I came up, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about it because I think it says a lot about this school and the people here and what they've done for kids over the past few years. In this book, Eric Carle traces the journey of a tiny little egg through an amazing transformation. His caterpillar began as a little tiny egg sitting on a leaf. And after a while, this tiny little egg turned into a little green caterpillar. Well, now as a caterpillar, he realized he was hungry, so he began to eat. The more he ate, the hungrier he became. Day by day, he ate and ate, he grew and grew, and when he could eat no more, he finally was content. Well, now that he was content, he realized something. He was no longer a little caterpillar. He had eaten so much, he was now a big, fat caterpillar. So he built a cocoon around himself, and he stayed inside for quite a while, and he finally pushed his way out. And to his surprise, he was no longer a big, fat caterpillar. He had become a beautiful butterfly. Over the past 65 years since the first graduating class of Forsyth County High School, there have been many thousands of students that have graduated from this school, been on this campus, who've also experienced an amazing transformation. Students have entered these doors very much like that tiny egg in Eric Carle's story, fragile, insecure, and unsure of what the journey would be like that was ahead. It was here that students were nurtured and encouraged by caring teachers who provided guidance and preparation for the years ahead. Figuratively speaking, it was here that students were also being nurtured in a safe cocoon while they were being prepared for their ultimate journey into adulthood. These students grew physically, academically, socially, and emotionally. Yes, they grew, and like the hungry caterpillar, they changed. And yes, like the hungry caterpillar in Eric Carle's story, it is here. Students continue to be loved, protected, and nurtured as they prepare for future endeavors. This school was, and still is, an amazing place for students to grow, learn, and flourish. I'd like to thank Forsyth Central High School for providing such a positive, nurturing environment for children, because this is where they get those years to grow, mature, and figure out what they want to be in life. And this school does a great job in providing that environment. I'd also like to thank the Alumni Association for the Hall of Fame and its commitment to recognizing past graduates and to how that they work to support the school's commitment to the students here at Forsyth Central High School. They continue to support the school's mission of providing and maintaining a tradition of excellence for students at Forsyth County High School. Congratulations to all of the Hall of Fame inductees. It's quite an honor for me to be among this special group, but I do appreciate it very much. And again, the honor of being on this Alumni Association is tremendous because you give back to where you began. And most of us in this room began here and got our nurturing and our love and guidance from teachers. And it's a way that we can continue to give that back. So I encourage you to recognize the alumni efforts and to consider being a part of what the alumni does here. Thank you.
It's a big moment. You have to be in the Hall of Fame of the school. So many old people. She's at the school. Yeah, just one of them. There's people that came up with the Alaska guy. They go to Art World too. The lakeside. You can explain the program pretty well. I just want to find the excuse to go back to Art World.
Okay, our next inductee, also from the class of 2020, we have Miss Frances Diane Westray Mooney.
Okay, I told them earlier that I'm not real good on speaking. I'm a singer, so I've been fortunate to be able to play 50-plus years in bluegrass and country music all over the United States and into even internationally into Shanghai, China, back before when you could go over there, you know. But anyway, I've had the honor of going to this school 4 years, and I graduated in 1966, and along with Linda and a few of others I see in here, a lot of familiar faces. But as we age, we forget, you know, who those are, just the names. But anyway, I've made a few notes. I'm really excited, and I want to thank you, Paula, for recognizing me, and all you girls, Judy Jenkins and George, even for coming out to some of my shows here in Cumming, Georgia. I was born and raised here all my life, so it's been an honor. But my biggest influence whenever I graduated from Forsyth County High School, I was I knew what I wanted. I wanted to get married, and I wanted to have kids, and I wanted to play music. And my mother and daddy, it was never an option. I grew up in a musical family. So with that said, I ended up doing the same thing, and I've been able to travel for many years, and downsizing a little bit now. I don't travel as much. But I'm married and got two wonderful boys, Matthew and Mark Mundy, who also graduated from this school. And don't ask me what the years were, because I forgot Matthew and Mark Mundy. But anyway, want to mention a few. My daddy was Roy Westray, and my mother, Ruth Looper Westray, granddaddy Looper, and my uncle, Gary Looper, who taught me to play 55 years ago, and I miss him terribly. We lost him a couple of weeks ago to COVID, and I haven't been the same, so forgive me if I tear up a little, but I'm going to try to do my best. But I'm so blessed and honored, and I will be forever grateful for this honor and this plaque from the Forsyth Central Alumni Association. I thank you very much.
We gotta sneak over like our football money.
All right, the next inductee is our last member of the class of 2020, and that is Mr. Glenn Succo.
Well, I've been waiting a long time for this day to come, so it's a privilege and honor, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Josh Casey and Mr. Perkle, for you guys reaching out to me, and Johnny Talent as well. He's the one that nominated me for this Hall of Fame, and I really appreciate that as well. My childhood memories came from right here. 42 years in Forsyth County. Obviously, only one high school here at the time, but gosh, just some of the best memories ever. Back then, I think we only had 3 or 4 police cars at the time. Now we have, probably 100 of them. Getting to see some of the people that I haven't seen in years is just such a blessing. Some of my classmates, teachers, my doctor, the sheriff, and the rock band, the Sts Brothers. So a lot of great memories. Back when life was so simple, and got a lot to be thankful for. And again, thank you so much. Such an honor.
Come on, get him. Why is it right? Everyone does that. There's so much space over here. Jeans. Peepaw's getting inducted in the Hall of Fame. You're wearing jeans. We're editing it live. We're editing it right now.
All right, it's time to move on to the class of 2021. And we are going to honor Mr. James E. Butler, Jr. And accepting on his behalf are Mr. Wes and Linda Walraven.
We used to could run up here.
As he said, I am not Jim Butler. I'm Linda Wallace Walraven, and I graduated from Forsyth County High School in 1963. Left for college, came home with a husband who was ready to teach school. And his first class here at Forsyth County High School, he had a young man in his class that was named James E. Butler Jr., or Jim. And from that time on, we have been great friends. And when I read about the Hall of Fame, I thought, Jim would be a great nominee. So I nominated him, and then he didn't come. He's very sorry that he couldn't be here tonight. To use the word extremely busy is a very good way to describe him. Since Wesley's been working for him for a lot of years now, I thought he should be the one to catch you up on his accomplishments.
Well, I'm not Jim Butler either. You can read what he's done. He's been a phenomenal lawyer, even a veteran. We have known each other for over 50 years now. Let me tell you how we met. This brings it home to Forsyth County High School, not Central Forsyth County High School. Obviously, I didn't stay with about 2 years, so I wasn't a well-known or a well-at-all educator, so I decided to do something else. But let me tell you about how we met. In the first class, now, several of your teachers, and you will appreciate this, they assigned me I'm a biology guy, but they assigned me to teach a physics class. I learned a lot of physics that year, but let me tell you, there was 20 students. I would guess, I've looked at two. Shannon Miles was one of my students. Steve Benson was one of my students. I've looked around. I don't think, is there another student in that class of 20? Jim Butler was a student of mine. Obviously, there's a couple that's passed away by then. But let me tell you, as a teacher, if every teacher would have had the ability to have a class like that class, nobody would ever leave the teaching profession. It was just a phenomenal experience for us to know Jim, to know that, and Shannon. You know, when you sit around and you think, and your students come back as your boss and your doctor and lawyers and all of that, you realize you're getting old. But anyway, that's how we met with Jim. We came along. We've been friends for forever. By the way, Jim, right after school, a few of you know, but not many, he decided he worked for the newspaper here for a little while, and he actually helped on my first sheriff's campaign. But then he decided he wanted to go into construction, 1972. A few of you remember what happened to the economy in 1972. Well, he went bankrupt. Decided he could make a better living being a lawyer. And folks, he's done that. From a good friend standpoint to a good person standpoint, y'all made a good choice. Thank you.
Come on,
Don't.
real fast. Come on. Y'all got all dressed up. You're matching.
Only clothes we got during football season.
Okay, the next inductee of the class of 2021 is Miss Linda Hughes Hardy.
I'm so grateful for the organization that has done the work to build this alumni group. To all the board and to the members of the committee, my deepest thanks, and I'm very humbled at this recognition. As you know, I graduated in the class of 1962, back when the earth was still kind of cooling a little bit. It was a wonderful time to be at this school and making great friends and having lots of things going on in life. And then I guess there was the inspiration of a number of teachers and the kind of things that made education seem so vital that I got into the field myself and spent 33 years in various phases, mostly in the area of early childhood education, finishing up in New Orleans. I married a guy from New Orleans, lived there for 25 years. And as we were planning to, as my late husband and I were planning to move back to Cumming, people said, I think it was Thomas Wolfe who said, you can't go home again. It's just not the same. And you know, it's not the same. It is wonderful. It was wonderful then, it's wonderful now. And except for the traffic, I think that's the only part. But some things change dramatically, some things don't change as much. I was recently at an event that was to be held on the Georgia Tech campus at McCamish Pavilion, and I thought, well, where in the world is that? I'll never find it. So I Googled it, and I thought, that's the old Alexander Memorial Coliseum. We were the first girls to play there in 1962. So my friends who were with me, who were about half my age, a bunch of young women, were amused at the thought that I had played basketball where we went to hear a lecture. But it's a wonderful memory, and I'm just so humbled to be a part of this organization and to thank you so much for selecting me for this honor.
Okay, last but not least, we are here to recognize the last, not person, group of the class of 2021, the Sts Brothers Band. Give them a hand. So I'm just gonna call your names out. Y'all all just go ahead and start coming up here. We have Stan Estes, Phil Estes, Greg Estes, Barry Lewis, Shane Pruitt, Alan Watson, Rex Talent, John Mize, Cindy Martin, Jeff McGinnis, and Ken Bowling. This makes up the Sts Brothers Band, the local musical legends.
I wonder if I will ever live up to where I'll walk up to a microphone and not adjust it. But not yet, anyway. There are two people that are not here tonight that want to recognize. Kim Bolin is not able to be here. He's going through some surgery, and we're sorry he's not being able tonight. Another person that's not here was a person that badgered and numbered and pushed for our name to be placed into consideration for the Hall of Fame, and that's Scott Vaughn. And Scott sent us such a nice note this afternoon. It was just great, and we appreciate that so much. Let me get my seeing stuff here. We want to thank all the members of the Alumni Committee for having us here, certainly. The Sts Brothers, we were a local band from Cumming, Georgia. Every member was a graduate of Forsyth County High School. We traveled roads a lot. We made some miles, and from the mid-'60s until about 2009. You'll have to pardon me on some of these years. My mind has gotten fragile over the time. We started with just the three of us, my brothers, Phil and Greg. We started in my mom and dad's living room. We lived in a huge house, so we could do that. It was 1,200 square feet. And my mom and dad grew up, well, of course, we all grew up with mom and dad not being able to listen to the TV. They just read lips. They watched Little Joe Cartwright and read lips. You know, they never knew what Michael Landon sounded like. But we took a little bit of a break from 1970 to 72 while I went off to college. And we came back and we moved down to a farm on McGinnis Ferry. And we took with us a guy by the name of Barry Lewis. And Barry played drums. It was between band, and we had that gave us two drummers, a guitar player and a bass player, and two singers, which was kind of an odd configuration. A little bit later, we asked a guy by the name of Jerry Farr to come in and play the Hammond organ. And Barry had a big Hammond organ and a Leslie, and filled us out great. We did some of our first jobs then as the Sts Brothers, Jerry moved on to a career in Nashville about a year later and left us short again. So we came up, someone said, I believe Shane Pruitt is between bands. So we asked Shane down. He said, we'll jam one out and see what happens. And 40 some odd years later, his equipment's still over there, you know. But about 1972, we moved up to my place. And we kept thinking, wonder what a keyboard player would make us sound like. And we heard Alan Watson's between bands. Let's call him. So he came down. He said the same thing. He was there, you know, as well at the end. It was right before Alan came, we were able to participate in the South Cobb Battle of the Bands, which was the statewide battle of the bands. At that time, we were able to win it. And when Alan joined us, it just really filled out the band. And we began to play more and more, and we began to play more and more here at Forsyth County High School. I think I have contracts for 14 homecoming dances in a row. That doesn't count for anything. The numerous high school dances that we played here, we began to recognize the faces that were there. There's sometimes hundreds of people in the cafeteria. And as the years went on, we developed something most bands don't get, a following. And the people from Forsyth County High School followed us. As we went on to the nightclub circuit, us and our road crew with John Mize and Rex Talent, and then later on Jeff McGinnis, we began to play more and more places. We began to show up at nightclubs, and Forsyth County High School graduates were all right there anyway. We had such a great time doing that. We also had an addition late in the band when we decided to take on brass. But we took on brass. We decided that we had two great brass players in the band, and that was Rex Talent and John Mize, and they were all students of Lon Turner. And they, as well as Alan Watson on piano, that sort of formed out the band. We played like that for many years and began to go on kind of the concert stage. And that was loads of fun as well. We later added Cindy Martin on trumpet, which gave us three horn players. By that time, we were almost like moving the contents of your house to a show, but we enjoyed every bit of it. Somebody asked me, a lot of times when I go out today, I still get asked about the Sts Brothers and what, people from the school here say, you were just part of our lives. Well, let me tell you something. We were certainly a part of yours, and you were part of ours. I have many young musicians come up to me and say, how in the world, the Beatles only lasted just a few years, how in the world did you last all that time? They asked me, how did you do it? And the answer is, I didn't. The two things kept the Sts Brothers together for so many years. One is that we all knew we were stronger together than we ever could be apart. And number two, it was that thing that happened just before we went out on the stage. We'd peek out the window there or the curtain or something, and the floor would already be full. A lot of Forsyth County students there, maybe in a club or at a concert venue or something like that, and we'd say the home folks are here, But until you walked out on a stage with just one blue light and you're out there scurrying around and hooking up your gear, and everybody's saying, yeah, I get mine right, this, that, and the other. I'd go around and look around, and everybody had a sign they'd give me when they're ready to go, including the sound and light people. And I'd give Greg the nod, and you'd hear those hickory sticks crack. And once you got to 4, all of those big lights came up, and the stage began to rumble. And those people from Forsyth County would be there like this. You can be an entertainer your entire life, and you'll never know that. Thank you all.
Let's do it this way. Let's get all the members of the band together in one shot. And then after we do that, let's get all the family members that are here with you. Okay. That's going to be big. We're going to have a problem. Both of them.
Yeah, it was afterwards, right?
I'm just gonna go on with the band.
So this whole Hall of Fame banquet and the process of, taking in all the names and going through it, I've had the pleasure of sitting in on this the last couple of years. The Hall of Fame committee is headed up by Mr. Tim Perry, and also with him on the committee is Dr. Shannon Mize, Chuck Welch, George Perkle, Linda Lang, and Melissa Bailey. It was great sitting in the room with them and hearing some of the stories, and it was just a good time. And it's not something we take lightly. It was a lot of thought put into it. We're proud of this class. Just appreciate the work all the work that was done on the setup. The setup committee, I don't know how many people. It was a lot of help on that, and y'all know who you are. Thank you so much for making this place look so good for the banquet. Really, really appreciate it. For the inductees, we do have a football game tomorrow night, and we want to recognize you at the football game. All right? So please let me know if you're going to be there tomorrow. I'd love to have every one of y'all there. So what we need you to do is at 6:45. Okay, down the gym's right over here. All right, between the gym and the football field, there's an entrance to the track. We'll meet right there at 6:45. And if you have questions, you can ask me or any of the board members. We can kind of steer you where you need to go. But we're going to meet there at 6:45. We'll walk out on the track, and you guys will be honored over the loudspeaker in front of the home crowd. Be pretty cool. Be a really good night for y'all to experience that. And Josh touched on a few things with the scholarships and things that the alumni has done, but there's some other things that I wanted to point out. There's been a lot of campus improvements around here, all kinds of things that have been done that have been donated and sponsored by the Alumni Association. The beautiful crest you see as you walk to the end of the hallway there on your way out, if you'll check that out. That was done by the alumni. We also have had help with the automotive team, a trailer they use through their competitions and things. Our Forsyth Central Wellness Center, which gets used every day by many kids, and that place has worked wonders and done so much for our students that are struggling with anxiety, things like that. They can go to the Wellness Center, and that whole section was donated by our Alumni Association. This year, the newest additions, if you'll come to the football game, you will see we have brand new signage on the press box of the football field. Home of the Bulldogs has got the Alumni Association emblem on there. Also on the back side of our arena gym, so when you're walking through campus, there's a massive sign on there for our basketball team, sponsored by and donated by us, and there's also our emblems on there too. So it's very special, the stuff that we do for our school. That's why all this is worthwhile, because we're helping our students, and hopefully they're going to be successful and they can pass that down to the ones that are behind them. So remember, 6:45, right outside the track. We'll see you there. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kevin Talent. He's going to come up here and say a few words. Thank you, Mr. Talent.
Thank you, Casey. And congratulations to everyone who was inducted tonight. It says on the agenda, alumni updates. I don't know why they keep putting that on there. That's never what I talk about when I get up here. Instead, this is my chance to explain to you why I am a member of the Alumni Association and why I support the Alumni Association. I'm going to say something, which is that because of a position I hold, I am ethically prohibited from asking you to join the Alumni Association, and I am ethically prohibited from asking you to donate money to the Alumni Association, but I am not ethically prohibited from telling you why I do those things. And then you can decide for yourself whether or not you think it's a good idea. This place opened in 1955. 34 years later, they opened another school that's a lot closer to Atlanta that's called South Forsyth High School. And when they opened that high school in Atlanta called South Forsyth High School, 34 years had gone by. It's been 32 years since South opened. And in those 32 years, if you start with South, 7 high schools have opened in this county. South, in no particular order, South, North, West, East, Denmark, Lambert, and Alliance Academy. 7 high schools, and that's just the public high schools. 7 have opened in 32 years. We have opened 7 high schools in less time than this high school stood alone. That's a lot. And that's what makes this such a special place. And it's a special place for everybody who stood up here tonight. I'm a little bit younger, not a lot younger, but I'm a little bit younger than some of you, and there are some people in the room that I went to school with. And for us, our memories are things like, and I think actually every person in this room probably had one of these memories. Every person in this room who went to this high school probably remembers waking up in fear of one of Gloria Pass's calculus test or geometry test. We all have that in common. And we all have memories of Friday Night Lights. Tim Stevens and I played football together. I used to block for him and make big holes so he could take off running down the field. And we have memories of things like Kathy Vale, who many of you knew, who was a teacher here, and her mock trial team, and Yatesy Harvey, another member of the Hall of Fame, and her drama program that she had here. This place is full of incredible memories, and that's what makes it a special place for every person here. And it's still a special place. I'm going to tell you how I know that, and then I'll sit down. In 1955, when this school opened, my dad was here. I think he was a sophomore. He graduated in 1958. 1995 is when I finished school here, and I didn't have a choice. I came here because even though there were 2 high schools in the county at that time, I was districted to go to school here. In 2019, Denmark High School played Central down at Denmark. My wife is an assistant principal down at Denmark High School, and I had at that point an 8th grader. I had an 8th grader who was trying to decide where to go to school. And the decision had always been between 2 schools. West, where the entire group of friends made since elementary school was going to go, or Denmark, where Mom was. At that point, the newest, shiniest, brand new school in the whole county. Well, Denmark played Central Central played Denmark down at Denmark that year, and I'm sure Mitch remembers this. There was lightning. And I don't know how it works now. I know that when I played football here, when there was a lightning delay, you actually saw lightning, and then you did this for a few minutes to see if you heard thunder, and if you didn't, then it was safe to play. But now we have these crazy rules in place where if there's a lightning strike within 20 miles or something like that, you have to wait 30 minutes, and then if there's another strike within that time period, you start the clock over again. And lightning happened, and so they evacuated the stadium, and they put us all in Denmark's gym. Well, Denmark's band goes wherever Denmark's band goes. I think they probably went into their band room. And Central's band, the Flash of Crimson band, who if any of you were here earlier tonight, you might have gotten to hear them practicing on the field. Central's band was put into the gym. And we were sitting there, and it was kind of loud. I mean, there's probably, close to 1,000 people around there that night, and we're all sitting in the gym waiting for the weather to pass. And we start hearing, and I was with both of my kids, and we start hearing this, what sounded like singing. And it got a little louder and a little louder. And then at some point, people started to quieten down because you could actually hear the singing. And we realized what was going on. Central's band started singing, just out of nowhere. And they were singing Brown Eyed Girl. And they finished singing Brown Eyed Girl, and they sung Sweet Caroline. And they finished singing Sweet Caroline, and they started singing Hey Jude. And before it was over, Central's band had started singing, and the entire gym was singing with them. Denmark students and parents, Central students and parents, kids from all over the county, middle school, high school, and their parents were all being led by this group of kids from Forsyth Central High School who were just having a good time. Before we left the gym that night, my kid was not going to West. My kid was not going to the new shiny school Denmark. My kid had decided that Forsyth Central was the place to go. Not the brand new school, the shiniest school in the county, not the school that was still a shiny new school where all the friends were going, but the school that opened its doors in 1955 because something special was going on here. The most selfish, self-centered creature in the world, a middle school 8th grader, saw something incredible going on here and said, I want to be a part of that. That's what makes this a special place. It's not always the pathways that we have. It's not always the special programs that we have. It's the culture that is built at the school to bring everybody in and make people just want to be a part of it. Again, I can't tell you to join the Alumni Association, and I can't tell you to donate money to the Alumni Association, but what I can tell you is this. This organization was founded not simply to recognize the past, but to also make sure that the experiences that each of us had going here and the experiences that my kid and other kids are still having here go on into the future. It's about the future that this organization was formed. And if you have any interest in joining the Alumni Association, just find a board member before you leave tonight, and they'll be happy to fill you in. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Nothing I could say could echo that. There's no better place to be. There's no place. When I got this position back in February, I met with every teacher in the building. And I'm in the process of meeting with what we're calling Principal Advisory Council. But in essence, each of our student groups here on campus has a representative selected to meet with me. And one of the questions is, what do you love most about Central? Over 92% of the people I've met with have said they love the family feel of Central and how they feel connected and valued here. That didn't start this week. That didn't start last year. That started when many of you were here, and it's our job to carry it on. Thank you for being here tonight. There's no rush on getting out. The backdrop will be up if you want to get pictures of your family or you want to hang out, visit. It's good to be here. We look forward to maintaining this tradition in the years to come. Thanks for being here, and as always, go Dogs.